Welcome back, guys. Today we are talking with Mirko about stock markets. Not quite FX related, but definitely we are also thriving FX related topics with the Australian dollar, gold markets, for example. Mirko has been trading stock markets for a very long time and is focused on dividend markets. So Mirko, this year, 2025, we see a bit of a shift in the American market. Where do you see the best chances at the moment?
The best chances I see still in other markets in Europe and in China. But the US market can become very interesting, especially when we see a second leg of this correction. So it means, again, a deeper deeps. Then I think the US markets can become very interesting. At the moment, I would load a little in US, but not too much yet, because I believe we not see the deepest point yet.
Okay, so we've seen a 10% correction more or less in different markets,
Correct.
Maybe a bit more. And from technical point of view, we are about to kind of trade around 50 moving averages on medium-term markets. What do you mean the correction can go further? You see more downside?
Exactly. I see 10% we have at the moment, roughly, we saw in the S&P. So I think the S&P 5,250, 5,300, this would be my target, which I would say I would load up my positions a bit.
Okay. And where do you see opportunities generally? I mean, like, would you say America is still leading, giving us more opportunities? Or would you see, you mentioned Europe, that European markets could be interesting?
In the middle and long term, I see really good potentials in Asia, especially China, even other Asian, like Japan also, and also in Europe. In US, I still think parts of the US market are really quite expensive at the moment. So let's say the tech values, so on. But I believe maybe if the corrections goes deeper and deeper, become also this part interesting again.
Yeah, okay, that's something interesting because the Chinese market has moved up a lot. And
Exactly.
If we're talking about valuations, which is what you're probably looking for in the US, what do you look for when investing in Asian markets at the moment?
I like principle. I like the Hang Seng at the moment very much. I bought it already over the last 2 years. I bought frequently Chinese stocks, so it's a big part of my portfolio, and I believe there are still good potentials to see much higher prices at the moment.
So for you guys, if you're just watching our video, Mirko is also part of our WhatsApp chat where we're exchanging trading ideas. And Mirko has been an advocate, which is why we are meeting up today. About a year ago, he said the Chinese market, especially the tech industry in Asia, is one of the leading factors. Do you see that American markets, like looking at stocks like Nvidia, are like too expensive at the moment, and the Chinese way is like moving higher now?
Exactly. I think they are still too expensive at the moment. So they already corrected. The correction was already here, took maybe 15% in the NASDAQ. I'm not sure what is the currently, but I guess so. But we see here more. We see this was not the deepest point yet.
Let's move maybe more about to the US in regards to Donald Trump. Tariffs, the big story. Is that something where you see a big burden? Because Jerome Powell yesterday said, we don't know where tariffs are going from the FOMC. What do you see?
I also don't know where the tariffs are going, of course, but I believe this gives us chances. This is for middle and long term, is this not a big influence? I think this will not too long time, this topic. So I think at the moment, the market can decrease quite roughly and quick, but I believe this gives us chances to come to buy cheaper
cheaper prices
cheaper
to be bought
prices,
potentially.
exactly.
So a short-term correction until tariffs are being leveled out maybe, or like Trump is taking them back again?
Exactly.
Or
I think so. I think Trump is playing with these tariffs to get good positions in his political way. So I believe just it will not last for long term.
Yeah, true. Looking at oil markets, obviously a driver for the economy in general. Do you also look at oil markets, or is that something where you say not really important for you?
Not too much. I prefer more not so cyclist values.
Yeah.
So I believe I'm not too much look for the oil market.
Okay. Because that seems to be a big story in Europe, looking at the war in the Ukraine, right? How that's going on.
Correct. I don't know what's happened in Ukraine now. They are still discussing, I saw today. So I think if they can finalize this war, this would help the European market again. Additionally to this, what I believe it's already quite good price. So I believe Europe market is definitely in the long term a buy at the moment.
Okay. For the average investor, the newbie, would you say there's anything where you would say, okay, in Europe, I would invest an easy way, this or that way? Do you have any ideas?
Not too much in Germany, maybe.
Okay.
I would prefer markets like UK or even, yes, UK, maybe.
Bit of a construction truck here behind. Yeah.
Maybe even in like values like Novo Nordisk in Denmark or like that. I believe that's a good opportunities.
Because I remember you've been talking about it as well, that you said America overvalued, Europe big chances.
Exactly.
Looking into the European market, we see interest rates going down, right? America yesterday, Jerome Powell stated he leaves interest rates from the Federal Reserve at current levels. No adjustment, no cut.
Correct.
In Europe, we've seen aggressive rate cuts. Is that something which you focus on?
For sure. It affects the market a lot. The funds rates is definitely a... I always say stock market is stands on two pillars. One is the results of the assets of the companies, exactly,
Yeah.
and on the other side the funds rate. These two things that the politics of the money of the funds. That's in fact really stock markets.
Okay.
So these two things I must always have an eye on it. So in markets which the funds decrease and the companies are running well, it's always an investing place.
So the chances in Europe you see pretty good, and in Asia as well potentially.
Exactly.
I've heard that
they are all lights green in Asia and in Europe at the moment.
Yeah.
The money politics, everything is running in the right direction. In USA, not yet, but maybe it will come. I hope so.
Okay. Investors seem to focus as well on Russia at the moment. I read some headlines at Bloomberg that there is maybe a way that especially American investors, hedge funds are trying to get access to Russian markets because they had been hammered to the downside.
Okay.
Would you and have you ever focused as well on markets the Russian market?
Yes, I have still Gazprom shares in my portfolio, which are at the moment they are zero. But they are still still there, the shares. So I hope they're coming back anytime. But I at the moment I would not have any idea how to invest in the Russian market. But if they reopen again, it's for sure an interesting market. I mean, they have everything. They have gas, oil. They have people. They have everything there to develop. But let's see what happened there first. At the moment, would be too risky for me to invest there. Even I have no idea how it is possible for a private investor.
Looking further towards the Russian market, talking rare earth, commodities, are these playing fields you look for as well?
For sure, yes. Rare earths are a very interesting thing. Every technique needs it. Every new technology needs it. So I believe that's for sure. We would have a focus on it, but not yet in the Russian market, but maybe in the Chinese market.
Too. Of course, that's a big story. DeepSeek, looking to China, DeepSeek, AI technology made in Asia has been growing. Do you see more momentum from the technology moving to the Asian part that might come up?
Absolutely, but I would here choose the big players like Tencent, like Alibaba. I would really choose to keep the risk a little bit in balance. When you go to very small companies in China, they are very quick gone, or nobody is so clear in their balance sheets, whatever. So I would here really in China ETF, or even I would go for big players.
Okay, just big markets.
To just keep the risk under control a bit.
China, Australia. Let's talk about the currency market, a little bit my playing field. The Australian dollar has been rather underperforming. Looking at the euro, the pound, comparing it to the US dollar, they've been rising. The Australian dollar is kind of rather weak. Do you also look into the currency market a little bit? Or?
I look especially the euro-dollar exchange. The Australian, I do not have so much in focus, but the euro-dollar or the Chinese yuan to the dollar, which is always depending on the dollar. Chinese yuan and dollar nearly parallel running. But the euro, it's very interesting. I think now the euro investors have now good chance get it cheaper. Because they have now it's 1.10 at the moment?
Roughly, maybe.
Roughly, so it's 10%. Nearly. Increase the euro. That means we can buy the shares in US cheaper. If they correct a little bit more, the correction goes on a bit. And the euro strong keeps. So you can buy really for good pricing in US. No? So this is what I focus in currencies. I do not trade them personally.
Okay. What I see is like currently is that the Australian dollar is kind of a barometer of risk. And if the Australian dollar remains rather weak as a risk on currency, it might tell us that the stock markets could weaken further. And I see chances that if you mentioned as well that America slightly higher for now, which is reflected in the Australian dollar, but maybe lower again, then we might see that the Australian dollar would kind of cause an impact there as well.
That could be.
Shares from Australia, mining, Rio Tinto, any of the big companies?
PHP. I have PHP in my portfolio, Rio Tinto also. Rio Tinto, for example, I bought in London because they have two markets. They are in Sydney and in London. So I prefer the London because it's from tax side is better for me. You pay no tax as a German investor in England or in Great Britain. So, but both is the same value, both the same company. So yes, I agree absolutely. But this is a very cyclist market. So you have really to try to buy it, to purchase for good pricing.
Bottom line, if the markets would now start to correct further, do you have cash on hand where you would say those levels you mentioned, maybe another 10% lower, you would start to buy again? How is your maybe strategy for the medium term?
At the moment, I hold about 15% in cash. So I have still opportunity if the market corrects more, maybe I told you S&P 5,200, 5,300, I would minimum invest the half of my cash then.
Okay. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Please, it was kind of, and it is a hot day, so I'm sweating more talking about this topic than obviously Mirko, his playing field. Let us know under the video about any comments and what you want us to discuss. Please check out our channel further. And obviously, we want to do more videos like these with Mirko. Stay tuned. See you later. Take care.